So my presentation is about Hurricane Helen. Hurricane Helen. I'm Kaiden Lucero. So to start out this presentation, when and where it happened. Let me pull up the slideshow really quick. So Hurricane Helen happened on September 24th, 2024, and it took place in the Big Bend region. It technically touched land in Perry, Florida, and it was a Category 4 hurricane, so that means it was a very big hurricane as they only go up to Category 5. It was 140-mile-an-hour winds, and it was the deadliest hurricane that hit land since Hurricane Katrina. So the total damage. So this was one of the biggest hurricanes that have hit land recently. It ended up causing 219 deaths. It totaled $79.5 billion in damages. And in the past 20 years, there's been 34 hurricanes, and that number is increasing steadily. So that means that, like I just said, the amount of hurricanes each year are going up. This could be because of the climate, the warmer weather. There's a lot of different factors that contribute that I will go into later on in the slideshow here. But the cost of the damages from the hurricanes in these last 20 years is $1.27 trillion. So these hurricanes have just been totally wiping Florida, all the places down south. They have been taking it out, and it's costing a lot of money for people who live down there in houses, real estate, buildings, everything else. How and when they form. Hurricanes, most of the time, they form during the summer, like I was talking about earlier. About 80 degrees Fahrenheit. You need that warm weather to be able to create that moisture. As they talked about in the book, it kind of creates the moisture in the middle, and then it starts spinning, and that's kind of how it gets going. But they form not only from warm water, but the warm air and the water vapor. So, like I said, the moisture that's a big part of it. And they start out just as thunderstorms, and they can turn into what they call a tropical disturbance, which is basically like that. That's basically what the hurricane is, but that's the way they describe it. When the air density lowers and the surface pressure drops, that creates that cyclonic circulation. So that's how we see the hurricane, and that turns to the pressure gradient leads to pressure gradient steepening and increase in winds, and then that's how you get the hurricane. Climate change and the future of hurricanes. So the conditions that can be affected by climate change are the warmness of the water. So we've been seeing there's been a global warming going around. It's been getting warming everything has been getting warmer. So that means the water, everything else, the oceans. So that could be a contributing factor as to why we are seeing more hurricanes. The water's warmer. That means the air's warmer, and then that is easy pickings for hurricanes to pop up all in the down south in that area down there. So like I just talked about, the water has to be warm in order for the hurricane to develop, and that's why most of them happen down south, southern parts of the world. Florida, for instance, we've seen a lot in the news happening in Florida. The problem with global warming happening is that these temperatures have increased dramatically, and with that, the hurricane chances are just skyrocketing, and that's why we keep seeing such devastating hurricanes. I mean, there's been some pretty bad ones here recently. I think that the climate change definitely did play a factor in Hurricane Helen, and I think the reasoning for that is because it was in September, which is not really during the summer. That's more towards the fall area, and for it to happen during the fall, that means that the water, all the surrounding areas, it had to be way warmer than it usually is, and that could be because of climate change. It's getting warmer in the fall and the winter down there. So that means we can kind of expect to see hurricanes at a lot longer times. It doesn't have to be just during the summer anymore, which is also a lot greater risk. Uh, that is why there's been so many more hurricanes happening, and why such a big one occurred in September. And the way that people can prepare for this disaster is maybe some scientists finding a way to be able to uh, cease the hurricane before it hits the land, because that's when you really see all the damages. If they can find a way to put out the hurricane, I don't really know how. Obviously, I don't know how, but that would be really the only way that you can stop this type of disaster. Like come up with an invention or something like that, or even change its path. That would be also a big key factor, being able to change the path and slow down its path, because these things just when they touch the land, it's just a lot of damage, and it destroys anything in its path. But that's really the only way, and that's how hurricanes are happening. Thank you.